scheduled for the May COA meeting. And Nancy is here. Welcome, Nancy. So seeing that Chris is not able to make it, let's go right into the Elder and Human Services report.
I don't, I just have one copy. Sorry, I'll make more. I gotta remember to make copies. PSC had a great March. As you can see, our numbers were up there, which was really good. So we had a really fantastic March, which was really nice. As you can see on the second page, the two wait lists for March is we had a lunch and learn with 5, we had St. Patrick's Day lunch with 19. So those were the two that I could see with wait lists for March. We have many, I encourage everyone to take a look at the April pleasantries. We have a lot of great events in April going on, so take a look at the pleasantries. A lot of coming up, a couple things. This Wednesday, April 16th, we have Ted Reinstein from the Boston Chronicle coming back for a presentation at the PSC starting at 6 p.m. this Wednesday. I want to say thank you to Anna for getting that this program set up and having Mr. Reinstein return for a second presentation. So that's pretty exciting. We had a great intergenerational Irish step dancing event back on March 13th at Coolidge Middle School. Over 80 people attended between EHS and recreation, so very well attended, good performance. Everyone seemed really happy. I want to say thank you to recreation for their help. And it's always nice to run some intergenerational events. So thank you to Rec, and Anna was there, I was there, and Jenna was there. So it was a good event.
What was the event again?
It
Sorry.
was the Irish step dancing dance, intergenerational. So that went really well. As you can see, the numbers again, we're well over 3,000 duplicated interactions per month. We had 3,411 duplicated in March, so great month. A couple things coming up. We had actually, I'm just jumping around here. PSC annual health fair will be held on Tuesday, May 20th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Olivia's been doing really well getting this organized. And we have well over 20 vendors there. If you have time, it's always a good event. I always encourage folks to stop by, even if it's for 10 minutes. It's nice. We have vendors upstairs, downstairs, a good chance to talk to a lot of folks, get information and whatnot. So even if it's for 5 minutes, I encourage people to stop by. So that's Tuesday, May 20th. St. Patrick's Day lunch in March, sold out in less than 3 hours.
Wow.
So our big events sell out quickly. So it was a nice event. Property tax work-off program. We have officially exactly 10 applications. So we are moving forward. We have 10 spots and we have 10 applications. So, which is really exciting. We had a lot more applications out. We just haven't, we got 10 back. Some people took applications. They didn't really want to share their tax return information. So, that kind of, but this is good. We're really excited to go from, we had 1 last year. We're going to 10 this year. We're going to see how it goes and, see what we can do better each year. So we're excited for that. So thank you to Janet for that work on that.
Are they all working at the Pleasant Street Center?
No.
Oh, all over.
Yep. So
Great.
months ago, last year, actually, Janet reached out to all the departments in the
Yeah.
town. We have some placements at some schools. So we have a couple of schools. Killam's one of them. I think maybe Barrows. Interested in some volunteers. DPW is interested in some volunteers. So it's more specifically the compost on Monday mornings. They're looking for some people to sit down there and kind of check stickers and whatnot. So there will be one at the PSC. There'll be, Laura, town clerk, will have a couple, so kind of scattered around.
That's great.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
The application date end?
It ended, but at that, we have a lot of good, there's a lot of time. They won't start until July 1st. So it kind of was convenient. We had the date, but then we were a little flexible on it, just so we can make sure people could get applications in.
Right.
Do we want, I know Chris has a select board meeting.
Yes.
You want to do an update,
Yes,
Chris,
please.
and then I'll resume?
Fashionably early.
39.
Yeah, see?
It worked out.
Yeah, at the last, thanks, Karen. At the last select board meeting, we put on the town warrant, the new Killam Schools / recal thing to be voted on from the town. I know, Karen, you had some questions regarding if town meeting says no, is it still going to the vote? It is still going to the vote regardless of what happens for either one. So town meeting says no to both, still going to the vote. They say yes to both, it's still going to the vote. So that is pretty
My
much.
question was, why is it going to town meeting?
So the scenario that transpired, at least with the Killam portion, is, and we checked with town council to do it this way, is that in order for Killam to keep progressing forward, we wanted to put it to the vote and have it scheduled. And then therefore we gave the architect, et cetera, funding to carry him up until the vote that would happen and then continue. So we're not going to lose. So essentially, the long and short of it is we saved close to $400,000 doing it this way. It might not be in the spirit of town meeting, however anyone wants to play this out. But for me, $400,000 trumps whatever. If we were dealing with $20,000, $30,000, some negligible amount of money, then, I understand the feeling that someone might think that their vote isn't important, but town meeting can still change stuff. I know, maybe on the Killam thing, not so much, senior center, possibly, but they still have an impact on what goes to the voters because there's no finite number on either project. So,
Until approved by town meeting.
correct. Yep.
Okay.
But the long and short, we save 400 grand because of it, and I will do that any day of the week. So. Any other questions on this scenario or?
I had heard that if there is a no, but the voters say, yeah, if town meeting says no, but the voters say yes, then actually goes back to town meeting, they get a second
Correct.
to reconsider, given what they've learned about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
okay.
I'm not gonna have a vote in that scenario, I understand. But yes, I know 192 people are elected to represent the precincts, et cetera. But on something like this, like how I mentioned previously, that I put it up to the townwide vote, regardless of my own personal beliefs, I still put it to the town because it was the right thing
Right.
to do, in my opinion. I'm not gonna block 3 years worth of work from either group
Mhm.
with what they did. This is a townwide decision. It's not 192. Some people might say it is. In my opinion, this kind of transcends that. So yes, if the voters end up saying 90-10 for both projects, we approve them and town meeting said no, then town meeting got it wrong. And usually everything irons itself out. Like I said, the town votes accordingly. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. It's my belief. It's just put out there now for the town to make the decision. So
Thanks.
we'll see,
Okay.
Lots of good buzz, at least. People are getting stuff out there. And that's all you can ask. You just gotta give the information to the people and make their informed vote of whatever they want.
Right.
And that's it. That's all you can do. You can't control who does what and whatever. Believe me, I've tried. Doesn't work. The only thing that works is 20,000 people voting. That's it. So that's my update on that.
Anything else you feel we need to know?
No, so the forum is happening, what, in 2 days on Zoom only, I think?
16.
16th, yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely, there's going to be a lot of participation, I think, in that, because that's like really the last chance for the public to weigh in on anything. And then May 13th, 14th?
May
13th. All right, 13th, because today's the 14th. May 13th is the vote for the town, so.
Yep.
That's that. We won't have another select board meeting beyond tonight until the night of the vote,
Mm.
which is kind of weird, but
Hmm.
you know.
Well, with town meeting and
Correct.
April vacation next week,
Mhm.
you don't typically schedule April vacation. So,
Hmm.
and there's a reorg tonight.
Yes, yep,
Is there? Yeah.
7:00, 7:05.
Thank you.
Oh, because of the election,
Yeah.
right? You do that. Okay.
First meeting after the election.
Yep.
And it's a special meeting tonight because Melissa and Carlo, we're going to be away for the next meeting,
Yeah.
not even make it at all.
Ah.
So as far as I know.
Okay.
Okey dokey.
Great.
Yeah.
See you next
Thank you.
door.
Sounds good.
See you. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Thank you, Chris.
All right.
Your
Yeah,
discussion
of
on,
course.
all right.
All right, St. Patrick's Day had filled up quickly, property tax. We had a great tax season with AARP that just wrapped up last Wednesday was the last tax appointments. They did a fantastic job. John Sullivan, who kind of supervises it, again, did a great job. Volunteers were great. So thank you to all the volunteer tax volunteers and John Sullivan for that. And thank you to Linda at the front desk for scheduling all the appointments on that. So great tax season. We continue to push online registration for programming through My Active Center. And that
How's that working out?
it's going going really well. A lot of people are using it, which is really nice. It's starting to cut down on the number of phone calls. People still have some questions here and there. But it's been a pretty good rollout, and we'll continue to push it. So we're excited about that.
Did everybody sign up with it?
Well, I just didn't know,
finally did.
did you need
Sorry.
your ID, your
Yep.
pass?
Yeah, you have to have your little swipe card.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're not in the system, you gotta sign up first, and then you can sign up with My Active Center. So we're closed next Monday for Patriots Day. So PSC, we will be closed. The last thing on the report here is now the 23rd. I think everyone in the COA is our volunteer appreciation breakfast. So thank you for Janet for getting that organized and the staff for helping out. So if you haven't seen, Janet made nice little invitations for the volunteers. So
Nice.
it should be a nice little event.
Wedding invitation.
Yeah. It'll be a buffet breakfast, should be a nice little morning. So if you have a chance, we love for you to come on down. But thank you to, all our volunteers. We've, it's been amazing what Janet's been able to do over the past year and a half-ish. It's really, our volunteer program has just blossomed. And, we have, just this month, we had 57, did I read that right? 57, I think. And we had a lot of volunteers. They came in 57. I have to see how many volunteers actually total.
How many invitations went out? Because all at once.
I was afraid you're gonna ask me that.
I think about 70.
I
Yeah,
was gonna guess about.
quite a few. There's a lot of volunteers with the banks that kind of help out on some of our bigger events like Lunch and Learn and so forth. North Shore Bank and some of the other banks. So there's a lot of volunteers, which is really nice. So kudos to Janet for getting that going. So
I'm really excited here that there's 10 applications for the property tax.
Yes, that,
And then they're used across.
yeah, good job.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe to see that kind of interest that they can expand it in the future.
And that's what we're hoping. It's nice that this year we got 10, we have 10 positions, 10 applicants, and we raised the hourly rate. So, you know,
Allocate who gets what positions.
we'll do kind of some interviews. So we'll kind of take a look at what positions we have, who's applied, and we'll try to match up the best we can. So, you know, we'll kind of take a look at what their, you know, what their
Previous experience.
yeah, what their experience is, what they can do, and try to match up. So try to get a good fit. But I know all the directors in town of all the departments, they've been really excited. Even the school department has been excited. And it's a good opportunity. You know, if we can send, especially like over at the schools or something, you know, if we can, you know, get some volunteers over, you know, it helps. So, which is great. Any other questions on the report? Great. So that's the report. Budget, we haven't, the trust funds, we haven't touched trust funds. I do need next month, I will be putting on, I need to take out of the patrons,
One of them, whichever one is yours.
I think it's a patron.
That's yours.
Yeah, they all start to blend together. The patron fund, so next month I'll request, because we have to draw from that annually, so I'll ask for probably to cover like birthday lunch or something. Just make sure we comply with what's written for that
And that we get
trust.
it on the agenda so we can vote.
Yep. Yeah, so we will get
Can
that
we-
on.
Can we take money from any of those funds and have some newspaper subscriptions for the center?
Yeah, we'll get that done. So we'll get that completed there for you, Rosemary. So, but yeah, trust funds are good. ARPA, I didn't get the numbers in. I will have the numbers, remaining numbers for you. Jen and I just reviewed them over just this past month. We were kind of reviewing it a little bit. We're doing really well. Most of our exercise programs and stuff, they have about another, give or take 10 months, 9 months of funding. You know, but you know, it all also depends upon, like, you know, if a class gets canceled. So we're trying to extend the funds as, you know, we can extend them into next year. They have to be used up by next year. But you know, we have about roughly 10 months-ish, give or take, especially for to pay like the exercise instructors and stuff like that. So we're trying to extend that. We will have the town meeting, we go to vote for the revolving fund, for EHS revolving fund, which also means it'll make it easier for us to start. Once that goes through, you know, nothing's 100% sure. And until I know it's 100% sure is when I start to then finally kind of, you know, okay, let's take a look at things. So once that goes through, and if it gets approved, which, you know, should, then we'll kind of, I know Jen and I will start talking about, okay, what in the staff, you know, charging, you know, we're gonna have to start charging again for some things.
When do you see that happening? Next year?
Um,
sometime,
Probably this year at some point, but it won't be for everything.
Well, that's what I was going to
Yeah,
ask.
it won't
You
be-
would Do a graduate.
It's gonna be a gradual. It's not going to be just you know, everything.
Okay.
We're not gonna go from 0 to 100. No. You know, we're gonna gradually start getting money in. The nice thing with our revolving fund is we don't have to put it back into the general fund at the end of every fiscal year, like recreation. So, you know, ours can carry over and we can keep using it. So
Right.
probably the second half of this year, we'll start charging. You know, we want to make sure we do it right, you know, and there's different ways you can do it. So we're just trying to make sure you know, which model would work best for us. Rosemary, sorry. Rosemary, you have your hand up?
Oh,
Once the funding is depleted for the different instructors at the center, will we go back to pay per class as you come in, as we've done in the past?
Well, that's what we were just discussing. We're looking at different ways of doing it. So that could be one of them where you pay per class. You know, so we're trying to figure out those details right now, but we have some time. It's not like we have to, you know, we're not going to start doing it next month. But like I said, the second half of the year, you know, maybe we look at maybe just a yearly fee. Or a monthly, like a monthly.
Excuse
Um,
me, if people pay for the month and then they go on vacation, do they get rebated?
well, these are things we have to figure out, Rosemary. Like I'm saying is, we don't have the details yet. We're still looking at different models.
Please don't do the model that Linfield Senior Center has.
Yep,
Because if you don't pay on the first day or the first class, you are banned for a whole month.
yeah, we're not gonna do that.
Also, when you, huh?
We're not gonna do that, Rosemary.
Also, when you
Reading
pay ahead
residents
like
first?
that, we're not getting a
Yeah.
refund.
Yeah, John, Reading residents always get priority with events. So, Reading residents first. And then if we have space, we'll allow folks from other towns to come in.
I did have a question about that from a neighbor, because I guess Stoneham didn't get funding for their.
So-
And they're gonna be
there was
closed.
concern.
So what I'm asking everyone is Stoneham doesn't know what they're doing yet.
Mm.
So every day I hear about 10 people saying, oh, they're closing the library and recreation and the senior center. That is, I've talked to the director at the senior center in Stoneham. They're having some physical challenges, money challenges, physical, not physical, but physical.
We knew what you.
Yes, challenges. They don't know what that quite looks like. They're probably gonna, I don't know. I have a hard time believing they would, close.
Right.
But I don't know the information. I don't,
Okay.
um,
that's fine.
yeah. So what I'm cautioning everybody is just to be patient with like Stoneham as they move forward.
And I heard if it does happen, it wouldn't be till July 1 anyways.
Well, that's the thing is their budget, like ours, goes until July 1, so that gives them a lot of time to, figure that out. They still have state, they'll still apply for the state money that most senior centers get every year, and they still have the only thing I do know is the director there cut back their budget.
In the Chronicle last week, there was an article about Stoneham possibly having another vote for the monies that they need.
Are
Yeah,
we
but-
getting off topic?
Yeah, we are a little bit. So,
But the concern
Yeah.
was if Stoneham residents, again, what Chris has always said is Reading residents first. But yes, okay, and anything else, Chris?
that's all on my end.
All right,
One thing on
Yeah.
just other models, I'm not recommending it, I just noticed it and it was eye-opening. The Sandwich seems to charge quite a bit for, like, I call it skilled exercise classes, like someone who's been trained to teach yoga. Those classes are not cheap there, but they have lots of other sort of your old sort of, I don't know,
Yep.
more typical long-term senior center stuff that's still free. So it seems like they've targeted some things and not others. And again, I'm not recommending it, I'm just saying it's a model that.
No, we're,
like, oh, we should-
we're even looking at, the nice thing is if you do an exercise class, a lot of participants get reimbursed from their health insurance, just like a gym membership.
we add this as an agenda item. Are you looking for COA input?
Not yet, but probably at some point, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. Okay, and Nora, Friends of Reading Senior 60+ update. Thank you for all
Okay.
your work.
You're welcome. Today we had our first annual meeting. So we went through and we reelected board officers and we nominated 2 more. We have an activity coming up May 31st. It's called Treasures in Your Attic Fundraising, where you can actually bring items, like I think it's 3 items per person to get assessed. Or you can just go and be observer and learn. There'll be a little lecture. And there'll be a small admission fee for that.
Where are you holding that?
Oh, St. Agnes
Oh,
Church
Okay.
Hall.
great.
So that's May 31st. And we're
Will
gonna,
this be in the Pleasantries?
yes,
magazine?
yes, and we'll have flyers and we'll make sure you're aware. We're gonna be at the health fair at the Pleasant Street Center on May 20th. And that was about it, really. Just talking, most of it was just discussing how to arrange this fundraiser.
Mm. That sounds exciting. Really, that's a different.
Yeah, different, and as somebody
Yeah.
has a neighbor actually from Reading who's very well versed in this kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Excellent,
Great,
thank you.
yeah.
And then the recal updates, Nancy?
Well, we have the final forum, Wednesday, the 16th at Zoom. And it's basically, the same information that was presented on April
Previous,
2nd,
yeah.
the previous one. And, so that's happening. The Recal website is constantly being updated. So people should go out and take a look at it on a regular basis. They add more FAQs, they have more recordings published out there. So it really is a good source of information. The town really has done a great job on that. And Recal, that, let's see, what else?
I noticed that Killam did a permanent building committee did a video for Killam.
Mm.
Did they?
I was curious about that someone today
Yeah,
at the
played it.
meeting played that, and I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
About an
Um,
hour ago or two.
yeah.
On
So
Facebook.
Pat Tompkins did it. I was gonna follow up on that, and
Yeah.
it was a surprise to me to see it. But, well,
It
yeah.
seems like for one, you do it for both.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it seems so,
And then you would release them both at the same
Same
time.
time.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a phone,
It's worth asking to see. You know, we still have time to get that,
yeah.
to do that.
I wonder if Jane was even aware of it.
Oh, does Jenna know about this?
Yeah, Oh, Jenna,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Jenna?
Sorry, can you ask the question one more time? I was multitasking. I was on my email.
You're allowed. So we noticed that the permanent building committee, what's his name?
Pat Tompkins.
Pat Tompkins released, or there was a video that was, I saw it on Facebook, I didn't watch it. And we were wondering about where that came from, why wasn't one done for Recal, and then they could both be released at the same time. Do you know anything about that?
Is that the around Reading video that came out with Pat Tompkins about Killam? Is that the one you're referring to?
Around Reading.
I don't,
Not sure.
I don't know.
He was standing in front of the Killam building talking.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was around Reading with Sean. And actually, I was down with Jane at Simon's Way last Thursday, and Jane did the same exact interview with Sean for Recal. So her video should
Oh,
be coming out probably sometime this week. He was editing it over the weekend.
Oh, good. Thank you.
No problem.
We did have a question about that. So, but it just seems like it would have been good to release both of them at the same time.
Yeah, I agree.
Does it appear that there's favoritism? I
Mhm.
mean, it should be like, this is, yeah, that they both should have been released at the same time. So whoever made that decision, can you relay that information to them?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. Thank you, Nancy.
yeah. It's, it's progressing along very well. Where, the permanent building committee is, the project is going into design development. And that's where things that were either suggested or needed to be looked at will be examined further. One of the things that was on our list is we wanted to see one of the large rooms with a curtain, a divider, so that Chris would have an opportunity, if he has a smaller group, to have a space for two smaller groups as opposed to sitting in a 1,000 square foot big room and just 10 people. So, you know, things like that are going to happen as we move forward. And I do have to say that the TT&H and BH&A have been excellent. And the town has been very willing to listen to ideas and try to figure out where either corrections or improvements can be made. So overall, I think it was a pretty good process, or it has been to date.
And it'll be really important once it's approved, if it is, to get the input.
Yes,
Continue the input.
yes.
Yes.
And that's when the final
Yeah,
designs go into
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
thank you.
I want to, really quickly, I just want to say, thank you for everyone and their effort with this. It has been a long process. And, you know, it is a tiring process. It's a lot of meetings, more than normal. But I don't think people get thanked enough. I know Jenna, you know, she's been working endlessly on, you know, everything with PBC and organizing, getting things organized. I know Marilyn and Nancy, and Jean. It really is everyone. But I want to say thank you to everyone and their effort as we get closer to vote. You know, some days you just kind of, you know, you have really good days and you have other days that you just want to run outside and scream.
Right.
You know, going through this, it's been an amazing process. And it's a very exciting process. And I want to, you know, at least for me as the EHS administrator, I want to say thank you for everyone's effort and support as we, you know, look at hopefully a future building for older adults and the public as well. But thank you.
If it passes, we need one big party.
Yeah.
In the gym.
In the gym. The big party.
Thank you all. Okay, the next item on the agenda is volunteer appointment term expiration discussion. And I did have it open, the members, so, oh, why do I do that? So Joan Coco's expires this year. We have, let's see, Sally Hoyt, mine expires, and Deborah Small. And we also have some vacancies, and I know, John, you have reached out.
Yes.
We have an associate vacancy and a council on aging member vacancy. And so, John, you've reached out. But so then I guess it really, those who are at the meeting, it only applies to me. So I won't even bother saying anything more.
You'll get a letter.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
after May 1st, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was just gonna announce it, but nobody's here, it doesn't matter, so.
You
Okay.
matter.
But I don't need to read information for myself.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Town and Family Day in June. I think, Nancy, did you bring it to my attention? Or Marilyn?
I did, because I'm a contact
Yes.
name on there.
So-
And to tell you the truth, I don't have a lot of information. The Reading Friends was also talking about this today. The 14th, June
Yeah.
14th.
14.
10:30
Yeah.
to 3.
Yeah,
So I wanted to discuss it to see if this is something that we want to do, because it does take volunteers.
mhm.
So I wanted to bring it out, you know, well in advance, actually 2 months, it's 2 months from today, June 14th. So is this something that we want to do? What's the thinking?
Well, what are we
Nancy,
gonna have for people to be attracted to the booth? I know we end up with chairs and water, then last year we handed out those pot holders. So that's something to discuss, what will be handed out, what will make people stop at our booth.
Well, first of all, I wanted to discuss, are we willing to volunteer to be there, then we can discuss what we want to, if we are willing to be there, then we can discuss what we want to give out to make it attractive to attend.
Makes sense.
So what do we say?
Well, first you have to find out, is anyone willing
Exactly.
to
Well, that's what we're
to
discussing
volunteer
now.
before we can even decide? Because
Yes.
I felt last year and the year before, it was just a few of the same people
Yeah.
from Council on Aging Board that are there manning it, and some of them are there all day, setting up and breaking
Exactly. And I
down.
know I can't be there all day.
Yeah,
I show up, but the
Yeah,
other
you
thing
can.
too, yeah, I come here, I've come
right,
over
people
here.
pop in, but
But
yeah.
the other thing too is, what is our point in doing this, and how effective is it? And are we willing to man the booth? I mean.
No, I didn't want to interrupt. It used to be, when Jane was doing it, that she did not participate in it or encourage it. We didn't go, the net thing, but it came down from Jane with, if we wanted to, we could, but her feeling was that that was more of a young family kind of an
Mhm.
activity and didn't attract very many seniors. Some, and a lot of the.
Grandparents.
Yeah, and the local young families have older family members, so there was some indirect, but in contrast to the town fair that's in the fall.
September.
In
right.
September, when lots of older people did come down. So she used to opt out and no one argued with her over it. So, and it's kind of been my experience, but we're really out there dragging them in. to
Yeah.
Come get, come get.
Remember,
Yeah.
we were really trying to drag them into, for discussion.
Now,
Yeah.
the only thing that could change this a little bit is, let's say the vote on May 13th and we get approved.
Mhm.
It could be a great time to, discuss, then we can, you're not just looking at, it opens up that population for us a little bit. So,
But that's the
keep that in
the
consideration.
Council on Aging booth, where I think then that if it does pass, and hopefully it will, it needs to be a community booth, Council on Aging and rec.
And elder services.
Right,
Elder
so,
services hasn't been on these things in a couple of years, I don't think either.
It's hard to staff.
Going back to.
Yeah.
I know, I'm not
Yeah.
criticizing.
and that's the same thing with here, it's all the same people staffing.
Oh, John, you have a question?
Yes, I wonder, is there any possibility, if we do want to do this at all, to partner with veterans?
I,
They're
And-
usually
and-
there.
and
Yeah.
that question is really going to Jenna more than anybody.
Or partner with, are you doing?
but I feel like,
Well, we were wondering if you guys were doing.
Yeah,
The only other thing I think would be great, because it could be an attraction where the Friends of Reading, they can promote something for funds, like do a raffle basket, and that draws people in. Council on Aging cannot do that. So if we worked together at the same booth,
Attracting more.
right, is that going to be something that you need to have your own booth on? Because we can't be a part of a fundraiser.
Does Jenna have any comments on that?
Jenna, what are you thinking about with partnering with veterans or with
Yeah,
another?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Will always goes to Friends and Family Day and to the Fall Street Fair. I was at the Fall Street Fair for probably like an hour or so. And yeah, I agree that the older adults kind of populate that more. But I think if it does pass, it's a great opportunity, like Chris said, and I can check my schedule out. And I'm happy to be there, and I'm sure I could get a staff member or two to go down there too. I think it'd be beneficial to have some staff along with some board members. So I think those are all great suggestions.
and I could go down to, I'm happy to go down. I don't know what that day looks like for me yet, but I'm happy to go down. I think it might be wise if you guys do decide, especially if like Will's there and some other folks, we really only need like one COA member per hour or so. So we don't, you could space it out a little bit.
So are we thinking an Elder and Human Services booth, and then, so the veterans would be there, Elder Affairs, and the
Should be
COA?
Community services.
Community
booth.
service, community service. Is there a community services booth has there been one in the past?
No, usually there's individual booths for Council on Aging. Recreation used to set up a booth down there back in the day. Now we just sponsor something and put our name on it.
That sounds
So,
good.
yeah. So basically, I think having the community services booth is actually a great idea. It's something we've never done, but I think it's great and it'll cover all of us, and we could get 2 tables and 2 tents, so that way we can kind of spread out too and have enough chairs and places for people to-
And if we could also include the Friends, so the Friends are next to us at least, so that we're kind of all together. I was just thinking that recreation might be the key. I wonder if one year I was cleaning out my toy chest, and one year I had boxes of little cars and little trucks, and all these kids
Yeah, you got a lot of.
came in.
Remember that?
And, you know, and it was mostly young parents, but, that would be something that, you know, recreation,
They could have
might,
something drawing.
yeah, maybe recreation could have something drawing people in, but it is a younger crowd. There's not many people looking for the types of services that are offered by Elder and Human Services. But people are more than happy to learn about it.
So maybe we can reconsider after the vote and see, and potentially be part of a community services booth.
I think
I
that
think
would
that's a good idea.
that'd be a great way to do it.
Yeah.
See how the vote goes and then discuss.
Isn't there a deadline of when you have to set up those, sign up?
Oh, yeah. that's-
Yeah, there is, but
Jenna, can you help us with that?
Yeah, I'll reach out to I think Lorraine Barry is no longer the president of the Lions Club. Does anyone know who the president is?
Oh, somebody.
I can ask Sharon Thomas tomorrow.
All right, cool. Yeah, just let me know who I should reach out to, and I can shoot them an email and just say, hey, you know, we're gonna sign up for a booth for Friends and Family Day.
Great.
I think we can assume that staff or someone will be there, even if it just Will shows up too. We can secure the booth and just see who can go.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Great.
Okay. We're ahead of schedule. So the next item on the agenda is new ideas, brainstorming, discussion. Oh, good.
I'm ready.
It's ready.
A suggestion for all of our future town elections. Having voted this week, was it last week? School is in session. It was very difficult finding a parking space. So thinking of our town residents that are on the elderly side, I think that's a deterrent that they don't want to vote because driving, I mean, it was bad trying to
I
find
had
a
to go
park.
to the performing arts,
Right.
right? Yes.
So is there any way that our senior center can schedule periodic times of the minivan leaving Pleasant Street site, transporting up, waiting for so long and taking them back?
Like an ongoing shuttle.
Yeah.
Whereas every hour and a half, every 2 hours, on say till 3 o'clock or something of that nature. Because I think it's important, well, for this election, definitely, but going forward, we might get more resident participation in the election vote.
Or encourage them to do more mail-in voting.
oh, Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
That, we did mail-in voting because David could never walk from a parking spot that's far
So
away.
I think it's something that, oh, I'm sorry, Rosemary, go ahead.
I forgot, go ahead.
Okay. But I think after being there and seeing, I mean, it was, when I tell you to wait for a parking space. And I don't
During
think,
school hours.
yes, and
Yeah.
people get discouraged and say, forget it, I'll come back, and then they don't come back.
Yeah, and even after school, because the after-school activities, it's, I went
They-
around.
the basic,
board,
yes.
I had to
But
circle
you're not
around
limited to that 1 day to
five
vote.
times.
You can vote early here.
I
you can
voted
vote
yes,
by
yes,
mail. There's
yes,
lots
you
of
can,
options.
but-
People have to be
but-
aware of that.
No, but I think it's a service, the way we have a service for mail-in votes.
Yeah.
I think we should have a service for those that want to go to the polls.
Mhm.
Now, we do offer rides. We've never done a shuttle.
But so I know often,
But-
right, but maybe in
Yeah.
advance, let them know, promote it, that
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. And then the other thing that I don't,
Can I just
Oh,
tag
sure.
on to that? Talking about mail-in voting and registering. The Board of Registrars, actually, that's one of the things they're supposed to do is outreach. And I wonder if they can do some kind of thing at the Pleasant Street Center to get
Yeah.
people to
Be aware.
be aware of the times and how to go about doing it and how do you register and.
All the options
dates.
available. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And my other thing is also talking about elections and making people aware. How do we go about when we have, people don't even know there's going to be another election coming up in May? Who is responsible to get in way in advance notice up on the board and common? On the town.
Police thing, the light, the.
Yeah.
I can comment on that. I actually asked that last week in our communications meeting and went in and talked to Laura Gem. And she said that the earliest that it can go up on the town hall board outside would be 2 weeks before the election. But we can start telling folks in a flyer that there's a special election on May 13th.
Now, Jenna, is that something, is it doable? Like if we did a flyer and had them on a table at the senior center to remind or let them be aware?
Yep, Katie and Josh are making a flyer. I think probably today or tomorrow. They've been kind of busy with the trash today, but they'll be making a flyer about the special election. So we'll put that out at the center so all the communication's consistent because we have to be careful in what it actually says.
Okay,
So-
thank you. Now, what about an insert? I mean, the newsletters have already been compiled, have they?
Yeah, there's some discussion about that today. We could potentially do an insert. So I tried very cautious about it.
What?
About what's said and what's put in.
About the election.
The wording.
Yeah, the wording.
On the calendar,
Um,
did you put at least that there's a special town election on May 13th on the calendar?
Yeah, as long as town hall's okay with it. I gotta figure it out. Cause like I said, I tried I like my job.
Jenna could.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's okay. As long as it's a special
Yeah.
election, May 13th,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, so
then-
we can do something. We just have to word it correctly. We'll figure it out. I do try to announce, please go vote when there's an election. So at groups at the center, it's a lot of times I say, just remember, please go vote or go vote on whatever day.
But I think right now, if we could get a special election flyer, like Jenna said, placed in
Yeah.
some location at the senior center and inserted in the newsletter, I think that would be awesome, and see if we could generate where it's only a month away approximately.
Mhm.
Get a sign up sheet or announce it that there will be transportation provided from the senior center to the field house and back these certain timeframes to
Yeah.
help you with parking and
Is that possible? It's a great idea.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
parking was so
Yeah.
impossible.
Oh, it was terrible.
See, I voted
Um,
here ahead of
It
time.
was terrible.
so Jen and I will discuss it. Jen and I will discuss it and we'll figure something out.
I think,
Like I said, I proceed with caution with this because I've already been blamed before about, voting and, so so Jen and I will discuss it and we'll figure something out.
Okay.
I think it might also, the shuttle concept.
I think it's a great idea.
Yes, the shuttle concept, it's a social thing too. You might be thinking, yeah, they don't need my vote, but your next door neighbor says, hey, let's go. Hand in hand, you might be more
You
likely
might be
to do
getting
it.
someone that wouldn't go vote.
Yep, you might
typically.
get that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So,
like
I mean,
having a buddy increases.
Well, it's not, and regardless of what the voting topics are, it's someone helping someone
Yes.
do their,
It's really an excellent idea, and it seems like a service that's,
we're providing, and this is
Yeah.
what, yeah.
Yep.
and it
Yeah,
doesn't.
Sorry. Recreation actually took the elderly or the older adult poll workers. We took the rec van up early morning and late at night, and we
Yeah.
bused them from the performing arts down to the field house and back. Laura reached out to us to do that with the rec van.
That's
Because
Yeah, that was appreciated because a lot of the volunteers are elderly.
Right.
Yeah.
They're in the same position.
So we're pretty much saying several trips during the day.
Yeah.
yeah,
to
so maybe that's
accommodate.
also an option. Like we'll say, oh, like we'll have someone in the rec van at the top for anyone
Mhm.
who's having trouble parking and can't
Yeah.
walk down. We'll have that access to the van down to the center. So we can check with
Well-
Laura and Jane to see what's allowed. But it seems to be pretty kosher if you're doing it for everyone.
Right.
And
Yeah,
offering it to
exactly.
everyone.
Exactly, Jenna. And you could say, okay, so your dance class or your exercise class gets over a 10, sign up and we'll transport you up.
And we can use the EHS van because I know it's easier for older adults to get in and out of than the rec van.
Mhm.
I mean, I want to confirm one more time with Laura, Jenna, but
Yeah.
I know I talked to her about a month ago. And since we do offer it at every election, I think her response was that we could do it during this election, but I want to double check.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of what the topics are on the
Well,
voting ballot.
I just want to make sure if we're
It's-
showing up with a,
It's a service being
Yeah.
offered.
yeah, I just want to make sure when we show up with a big van that says Elder and Human Services.
Oh.
At a vote that says for.
Yeah, but-
I know, Dean. So,
Lots of places.
I mean, who knows? Half of those people could, vote.
No.
No, yeah, you don't
You
know.
don't know,
Yeah.
and that's their privacy, what they want to do, so.
Okay, so you'll
Mhm.
let us know,
yeah,
because we will not be meeting before then. So,
What about insurance? Do you need extra insurance on the vehicle?
no,
it's already covered.
it's covered.
Yeah, that's covered.
And so Jenna, you'll check on the town common signage, et cetera.
Yep, so the town common sign has already been made, and Laura and her team will be putting that out 2 weeks before the special election.
And so then we could also put in an insert in the newsletter, just special election for your information, special
Yep.
election.
Yep,
type of
and
thing.
Katie and Josh should have that flyer any day now. So
Okay.
it's good to just do the flyer that Katie and Josh on the communications and operations team already have made for town-wide purposes to throw out on social media and whatever else. So to just put that exact insert into the pleasantries, that seems to be the easiest and safest way
Okay.
to do it.
All right,
Jenna,
Thank you.
there's actually a second electronic sign the town has as well.
Oh, yeah, the police sign.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, is the police signs.
Oh, Okay, I thought you were
I
talking
think
about the
that's
one
a
that
check.
slides in
Oh,
into
the
like
board, the board.
Yeah.
No, we mean the flashing police.
The
sign.
flashing
Yeah.
and the board. I would want to see both.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I can email the police about the light up sign.
That'd be great. 2 of them.
Sounds good.
Great idea. Thank you,
And
Jen.
I'll put you on the email as well, Karen. I usually do that in the past. Like if we follow up on items, Chris and I will we would CC Nancy. So if you don't mind, we'll do that.
Please. Yes, we'd like to know. Thanks. All right, other ideas?
I don't know how we would do it, but I would like us to get some process in place to do routine encouraging feedback from the senior population at large, not just the ones that come to the Pleasant Street Center, but something that's, question of the month. I used to take an arthritis class and she'd have us, she'd call it ride the bike. You were treading water essentially, which gets pretty boring, but she'd always have a question of the day, like what's your favorite ice cream? Well, what if we got something that's like a question of the month, what activity would you might have liked to have done this month if you've had it in front of you, or were you meaning to do it and didn't? Some way to get people to start to tell us what's on their mind in the population at large. Not necessarily senior center related. I mean, it could be some, who knows what, some new service the town, it might have to do with transportation or something, just some way to have not a scientific survey, but just a sort of.
General suggestion.
Yeah, so like a suggestion box, but probably set up in an electronic manner that people were just aware, and we publish the results. That's been another really important part. Guess what? 83% of the people agreed with you, something like that. And I don't have specifics in mind, but it feels like it's something we're always debating. What do seniors want? Nobody knows. And I would love us to get something in place to start a regular dialogue. So it's sort of like, on the news of the call Harriet or whatever,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
having a problem,
Yeah.
something like that, the people know.
Could you sort of question in the pleasantries every month?
But that pretty much goes to that group that's affiliated with
That's
the
true.
senior center. And they're important. We want to hear from them too. But it's the other, 5,500 people? I would love to know something more about them than we do right now. And there really is not much, except, the ad hoc conversation here or there, that somebody grabbed my elbow and said, couldn't you do this? I don't know how to do it, but
So, yeah, so what would be the way that you reach out to those
I'm not sure.
5,000?
Yeah, the
the thing I'm thinking of is some kind of a standard Survey Monkey thing, and they could go on it with scanning it with their phone or something like that.
But then you would need email addresses, right?
No, you just need to have the poster awareness of it and the QR code.
Could you add a QR code to the postcard that I know you've been working on?
We could if we.
And then that QR code goes to a survey.
Mhm.
That's a good
And
idea.
maybe we could get some input from Katie and Josh what are they? What's their role? Jenna?
Director of Operations and
You mentioned
Yeah,
something
the
communication.
executive assistant in operations.
So they do communications, because, I
Mhm.
wonder how, maybe they would have some ideas about how we can reach those who do not, the 60 plus community that does not attend the
Mm.
senior center
Well,
activity.
Yeah, that's a great idea. They actually just did that huge trash rollout and they got the door hangers and they sent those out to like 800 people, I think, in town. Talking about the trash rollout and putting a number on there. So maybe we can ask them, how much that was and if we could use a similar strategy to reach some of those older adults that we're not reaching.
Well, not so much the older adults, but also I would say the younger set, 50 and up, just as a town involvement in a town project to generate togetherness type of thing, because everyone's off doing, why couldn't we put it into the Reading light bill or the real estate or the excise tax?
Yeah,
Here's a QR code.
yeah.
What would you like to see activities.
It could be on a refrigerator magnet or something like that too, just, got an idea of something you want, and you just take your phone and find out what the survey of the
Right.
month is, in lots of ways, I don't have it figured out, but
Mm.
I would like us to try to develop something like this, because we always,
Feedback.
yeah, we
Feedback.
always come down to if we only knew what they actually wanted, and there's no
And we're
data.
such a diverse group.
Yes,
That's the other
yes.
reality. I mean, 60 plus, 60 to 105,
Right.
that's
Mhm.
quite a range. But Chris, can you think of anything like that you've had experience with or other communities are doing? Similar?
No, it's always, I think pretty much your ideas are spot on. It's a challenge for a lot of towns to reach that, you're gonna be able to reach that 55, a part of that 5,500, but it's gonna be very hard to reach all that 5,500.
It won't be any kind of system.
I think what would be wise is to think about how many of those you would like to try to reach. It might be let's, what's an obtainable goal? We have 55 roughly that we're not reaching. This can be an ongoing process. Can we reach an extra 500 to 1,000?
We could reach them all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
getting
let's,
them to respond.
but
is
that's,
another question.
and I think that's what I'm saying is, what's a reasonable response number? And I think that's smart to think, and then if you've exceeded it, great. And then, that's probably what I would do is, a QR code on the postcard, door hangers, talk to Katie and Joshua. And I think these are all great ideas. But on top of that, okay, if we get 300 responses,
That's a lot.
200, I think that needs to be discussed. So we can be kind of strategic about this. Okay, let's say 200. Let's see what our responses are. Let's see what people are saying, and then let's do it again.
I'm
But
thinking.
the other side of that is that the more people that come in, the more things will be sold out, like you say.
Yeah,
There's a limited number of people who can go to each lunch, each event.
yeah.
The more people you have come into the center, the more people will not be able to go to those, they'll get discouraged.
Right, but I'm not thinking about using this as a way necessarily to advertise.
Yeah.
the Street center activity, could be. I'm looking at it as a way to, every month or every quarter, it's your way to speak up and say, hey, I had an idea. And it could be anything. It could be we should change where the traffic lights are on the streets, because I can't get across the
Like the
street to the
click and
grocery store.
fix that's on the website.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Or it could be something as simple, do you have any interests?
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
Mhm.
I don't think we necessarily need to promote the PSC,
No,
No.
not at all.
but just trying, okay, you're 50 to 65 or 67.
Right,
What's your interest?
exactly.
What is it?
Or what,
You
is there a problem you're experiencing that you suddenly you didn't anticipate coming in life, just anything, my best friend moved away, they went to
Right.
Florida, and I never knew I'd be so lonely, who knows what we might get. But I think it's really important to have a way that we publicize what we're learning each time. I mean, if we had specific questions, it could be just an open-ended, tell us what's on your mind. Or if we had specific questions we wanted to ask, and a question of the month be really important. It could be in a fun way, 80% thought this, believe it or not, and 19% didn't. It could become something it needs a catchy title, it needs good marketing, it needs someone, the Reading Report or whatever. Just a way to get people engaged with realizing they've got a voice. And I think it's a really good way to find out about some of the diversity that people are pretty unaware of among the blob of 60 plus.
Yeah.
There's tremendous diversity, and it's
Yeah.
a way for that to start to express itself. I don't know, it needs it would be really good as a student internship project. This would be great.
Yeah.
And the other thing it could even be is get students involved, find out what Granny wants, interview her.
They used to do that years ago in the school.
Really?
Yeah.
There was a project that the students would have to interview their elderly.
Oh,
Yeah, I did with my
families.
grandmother.
Do you remember that?
Yes, my
And they
kids all
would,
did
they
it.
would record them,
Yes.
Yeah,
and that was, they learned their
it was a-
history. It was a
yes.
great program.
Yeah.
yeah,
I wonder if they still do it. They may.
I don't know.
So, yeah,
yeah.
another way to get the information out too is manager minute. Does everybody?
Yeah, the town manager minute, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what
an
it is.
email.
Yeah.
That's another possibility.
Yeah.
A way of getting the information out. So can you come back with some specifics?
All right, I'll brainstorm on this.
Yeah,
I think it would give us a lot to work with in going forward, and probably particularly if the vote passes and we're gonna have this mammoth building with so much potential to do so much and with more people, but even without it, it's,
It's a
All
community
right.
connection.
I will give thought to a feedback.
all right, add that too. We'll have that on the next agenda. Do you think that's enough time?
What, by next month?
Yeah.
I think so. I'll have
Okay.
something to say.
Okay.
I may not have the answer, but I'll have something.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll let you spearhead this. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I thought about it for a long time. It's something that I'm willing to take a stab at. I didn't finish my story about the aerobics class, but she would do while we were doing our treading water, is she would just ask the question of whatever the day was, but people got to really looking forward to it, because just a silly thing,
Yeah.
but you find out that somebody else loves something that you'd
And
never
there's a
heard of.
connection.
Mhm.
Things like that, yeah, so anyway, I think it could be a fun thing that gets people to
Yeah.
engage, so I'll give it a
Good.
stab, okay.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? All right, well, we have the schedule for the May COA meeting as our last item on the agenda. It's scheduled for May 13th.
Oh.
I
the
think
night
Oh, that's
before
the
election, which is the
Change.
second Monday of the month,
Mm.
which is when we typically hold our meetings, and so. And it might be better to hold it after the election. What are you laughing at? You got a funny text.
No, I was just thinking about the bike and spinning and.
So what do we think? Do we, well, actually, we can't, the first Monday I won't be here,
Okay,
so, somebody else could run the meeting.
May 13th, is that a Monday or Tuesday?
it's Tuesday.
May 12th, I'm sorry. May 12th would be, is the
Oh,
date of
okay.
the meeting.
Oh, the 13th
I'm
is.
sorry, the 13th is the election, the
Yeah.
12th is the month, the
So it's the
second
day
Monday of the month.
So it's the day before the election.
Yes,
That would work.
just to hold it then, or do we want to?
Be nice to have one after, we can either celebrate or commiserate.
Right.
Well, that's what the question was. Do we want to meet the night before or do we want to meet after the election? Once the decision has been made.
I would say after the election.
Yeah,
So we're okay with having it on the 19th?
19th,
sounds good.
Okay.
I'm good with
Any
that.
other thoughts? Rosemary, Karen, John?
Is everyone here?
Okay.
Yep, I'm here, I'm listening.
Okay.
Next COA meeting, May 19th.
That works.
Okay, John?
Motion to adjourn. You called on me. What did you expect?
Yeah.
Expected.
We didn't finish the agenda.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Agenda items for next time, like secretary, a vote, we could have that.
Well, I talked to Chris about seeing if somebody from town hall will.
We're finally gonna get support.
We'll
Well, we're
see.
gonna see.
We'll
That'd
That
see.
be
would
nice.
wonderful.
Yes,
That would be really good.
yeah.
Okay,
It's not like we have complicated meetings.
usually.
Yeah.
The one of the attorneys was a killer.
Yeah.
Took an entire
Town
day.
hall would not do that.
It took an
that
entire
level
day
of-
doing
yeah.
it. It was one of the Robert Redford movies.
So we have a
AMC.
motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so I just need to pull up my list. Okay, Karen Panett? Vote to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
Well, yes.
Do we have to have John say it again?
No, it was seconded. You approve? Are you ready to adjourn? Say yes.
Yes.
Rosemary,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Marilyn.
Yes.
Karen, yes.
Yay.
Meeting's adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you